Well, I'm going to say robust, bitter, pungent, and fruitiness. Those are my jams. What the heck am I eating today? Let's get to it. Hey, everybody. So, today I wanted to just dive right into olive oil because I love olive oil. And some of you may or may not know, I actually used to work at a specialty olive oil and vinegar store. It was incredible. So there was about almost 80 different varieties of olive oils, including varietals, infused olive oils, fused olive oils. We'll talk about that in a second. Balsamic vinegar, all of these amazing things. Plus, there was specialty salt and there was all these other products, and I loved working there. And I have mentioned in quite a few of my videos about this place. So, what is this place? It's a store called Evoolution. And Evoolution was started here. It was three gentlemen that originally started it, and now there's one main owner, incredible guy, and they have expanded, and they actually have stores in six different places. So two in Edmonton, one in a little city called St. Albert, one in Calgary, a big city, one in Canmore, and one in Banff. And so what I did the other day was I actually went to the Evoolution store that's closest to me, and I picked up a bottle of one of their varietals that is in season right now. And I really was looking for, I wanted like peppery, herbaceous, very sort of bitter notes to the olive oil, also with a little bit of fruitiness in there. And what I landed on was Mission olive oil, and Mission is the type of olive. So let's just like go backwards a little bit. Okay, so first things first, when I say I shop at Evoolution a lot, I actually do. This is just some of my collection here. This isn't including, I have some other balsamic vinegars in the kitchen, and of course, all of the amazing salt. A little bit. Where the heck is olive oil? This was always one of the funniest things. The people would come into the store and they would ask me about olive oil and ask me about like, oh, shouldn't it be like really green, or shouldn't it be really clear, or shouldn't it? And they had all these shouldn't. And the thing is, just at the base level, think about it. It's olives that have been pressed, so it's olive juice. It really is what it comes down to. But of course, it's so much more. So when you go to a store like Evoolution, you actually get information about the olive oil. Where did it come from? The rating for fruitiness, bitterness, pungency. And then you actually also get the chemical composition for everything. So we're going to talk about all of those things today because I grabbed the card for this Mission, which is in the robust category for a varietal this year. I really have, I don't know, I'm on this thing right now. I love bitter foods. I have in my fridge right now baby kale, baby arugula. We were making some daikon the other day, just like slicing it up and eating it. We actually, Jason, when I say we, I'm using the general we for this. Jason took a lemon that we got that my parents brought back from California. They were in Palm Springs. You can actually bring fruit back. You can't take the fruit there, even though it's from there, but you can bring the fruit back. And so he actually sliced the lemon, peel and all, put it in a slow cooker with some pork chops and some ginger, and just slow cookered. And I said to him, that was a 10 out of 10 meal. And like you would think, oh, the lemon peel would be very bitter, but after it's been sitting in that juiciness for a few hours with the pork chops, no, it was delightful. And the lemon just kind of fell apart. But when I went to the olive oil and vinegar store the other day, I was looking for a very specific, I really wanted more on the robust end of the olive oils. And I found it in this one. And this is actually, Mission is a new to me varietal. So, when you go to the grocery store and you just get an olive oil at the grocery store, I hate to say it, but you're not getting great quality. You're getting something, you're not getting great quality. And so when we actually look at what are the qualities of olive oil, well, we want it to have high biophenols. We want it to be low in things that are going to degrade it. So we don't want the olives to have been oxidized. We don't want the olives to have been harvested and then be sitting for hours in the back of a truck, which will actually lead to some of the off notes. So where it'll be fusty or musty or any of the kind of vinegar fermented kind of flavors. You don't want that in your olive oil. Good quality olive oil, actually, when you drink it straight up, it should taste incredible. It shouldn't stick inside your mouth. It should just be brilliantly light and lovely, and you feel like, I had something delicious. So, how do you actually taste olive oil properly, though? It's a really funny technique.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's been way too long since I've done this. Oh my goodness, how do I make sure I do this? I think that's I think that's correct. Okay, let's do the actual take. All right, I'm going to give you a tongue twister. Have you ever heard of the word strapaggio? This is the actual method. It's slurping your olive oil. I'm not even kidding you here. It's basically slurping your olive oil. Now, when you want to actually do olive oil tastings and testings, a couple of pro tips. You want to have a container that is not see-through. People are actually influenced by the color of the olive oil. So if you have it in a container like this, you can't actually see the color of your olive oil. What you want to do is you basically want to put it in, hold on to it, and start to warm it up. As it's warming up, you're going to start to, oh, I can already smell. Oh, it's amazing, amazing aroma. Now, strapaggio or slurping is how we actually will aerate our mouths. It will create basically an effect where we get all of the olive oil in all of our little taste receptors. And if you have a pretty good palate, you can start to pull out some of the flavors. Now, like I said, this olive oil that I have here is high fruity and high bitter notes and also high pungency. The biophenols, so that's like your antioxidants in this olive oil, is incredibly high. And I'm going to go over all of those numbers in just a second. But I've had it in my hands here. It started to warm up. Get a little smell. Okay. So here is my incredibly, I haven't done this for a while, technique. So you get the olive oil up to your mouth. And I'm not even kidding you. You want to slurp it into your mouth and make the following noise. Now, oh, here it comes. Okay. Oh, this this is the pepperiest olive oil. Okay, my eyes are watering. Okay, I love olive oil like this. It's peppery, it's fruity, it kind of has like a little bit of mm, almost like grassy, but like more on the leek. I'm gonna say pepper, leek pepper, a little bit of burn as it goes down, but there is a fruitiness to it. Kind of. Let's do that again, shall we? Let's slurp again. Mm, okay. It's more at the beginning, and it's almost like green, green grass, a little bit of almond, It's good. It's good. Now, just to give you an indication of how green this olive oil is, and this is just, it's the species, right? So it is a very nice dark green color. It's absolutely lovely. So you can see, if you're watching the video, how dark this olive oil is. Excellent. And that's how you do strapagio.
Okay, you're gonna just have to bear with me. I'm gonna get super nerdy here. We're gonna do the science behind olive oil.
Okay, so you can see our little tasting card here that we have for this olive oil that I bought. And like I said, when I tasted it, I thought there was a bit of like almond, and I hadn't read the description yet. Alls I had looked at was the chemical composition earlier. So I was doing that as a blind test. And I did feel like there was a little bit of that almonds, some herby notes, very sort of green grass florals, and it also has on here matcha. So that was the one that I was kind of missing. I knew there was another flavor in there, but I was like, what is it? So when you get an actual premium extra virgin olive oil, they should have this information for you. And so it will say when it was crushed, the country of origin, chemical makeup of the olive oil, and of course your fruitiness, your bitterness, and your pungency. And this is a sign that you have purchased an incredible olive oil. So let's break it down. And we're not going to spend a ton of time on this. I just want to give you all like a really I find it interesting, like how is olive oil broken down? So the first one that we have here, the biophenols. This is your antioxidants. So when we are looking at this number, we're looking at having a really high antioxidant level, because this is what's going to help neutralize free radicals on our bodies. It also will let us know if the olive oil was processed quickly after being picked. The higher the concentration, the more beneficial properties you have to your olive oil. So having one with a really, really high biophenol count is going to be a better one for you. Now, here's what I want to say though. With all of the numbers that we have here, we want to remember that they all work in conjunction with each other, right? Having just one of the numbers isn't going to give you a good overall picture of your olive oil. So for our first one, we want to have biophenols, and we actually want to have biophenols. Sorry for my left-handedness, and we want it to be high. Okay? Okay, so like I said, I bought this Mission olive oil. Very robust, delightful. And a couple things to notice. So you need your olive oil in the nice dark glass bottle. This is going to protect it from the light and any damage from that. Also heat, and you want to have a great lid on top. Olive oil that is kept properly will actually last you for a couple of months. But here's the other thing. So this is a Northern Hemisphere olive oil. So right now, if you are doing your olive oil correctly, you would actually be enjoying Northern Hemisphere, which is picked in autumn, like your fall months, to, depending on where you are in the world, up to December. So our Northern Hemisphere is what we're enjoying now. And stores like Evoolution, and there are other stores like this around, they actually will switch between northern and summer time, which will be the Southern Hemisphere. So once we get to the summertime, we're going to be Southern Hemisphere. And if you're like, Colleen, what the heck? Olive oil is from Italy and Greece. No, 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 my friends. This olive oil is from California. Some of the best olive oils that I've had are actually from California. So this is a California olive oil. South Africa, Australia, also incredible olive oils. Personally, and I've had a lot of olive oil. I was the manager at the store for a long time. Personally, some of my favorite olive oils are actually Chilean, Australian, and California, US of A. Okay, our second number that we want to look at, free fatty acid content. Now, with this one here, what we're looking for is a low amount. So this is done in a percentage. Anything that is 0.8% and lower means that you have an amazing high quality extra virgin olive oil. So if you have high free fatty acids, that actually means that the time between harvesting and processing might have actually been quite long. So basically, the olives were sitting around. This can also lead to the development of off flavors, and we do not want off flavors in our olive oil. So, for our free fatty acids, we want this to be low.
So, before we move on to the next chemical composition, I just thought I would take a second to say, you can make amazing chocolates with balsamic vinegar in it.
Okay, I don't know about you, but I do love some fat. I can eat a pound of butter with no problem at all. Our next one in our chemical content is oleic acid. So this is actually our omega-9 fatty acid. And to have a really heart healthy olive oil, we actually want this number to be between 55 and 83%. So you can see with this olive oil that I have here, it's at 75%. So kind of right in between that spectrum that we want. This has a really important role in the flavor and the aroma of the olive oil. So when I was sitting and holding that olive oil in my hand, I could actually start to smell all of the different incredible notes and the aroma that was coming off of that olive oil. So we want for this one here, oleic acid, we want this to actually be high. And in this one here, it is. Okay, our next one is the peroxide levels. And this is actually measured in micro equivalents per kilogram. So if you're like, Colleen, I finished science 25 years ago, it's okay. That's why I'm explaining this to you. The basic way that we can look at the peroxide levels is we're looking at oxidation. And if we have really high levels of peroxide, that means more than likely our olive oil has been exposed to potentially air, or maybe in the processing, there was a lot of aeration in there that shouldn't have been there. So we want low peroxide levels. And that's also why when we look at our olive oil and we're storing it in the container that is dark glass, it keeps it away from light, heat, and air. And this is going to help us with making sure that our olive oil actually doesn't go rancid. So for our peroxide, we want this to actually be low. Okay?
Imagine you can go into a store and try everything before you buy it. Friends, that is what you can do at the Evoolution store. Everything is in these containers called fousties. And these fousties are this silver container, kind of looks like a little, you know, tiny spaceship. And inside, they have every type of olive oil and vinegar that they sell for you to try. Here's the bonus. Pretty much people don't bring anything back because they've already tried it before they've even left the store. And you can mix and match. So you can get a little bit of olive oil from one fousty, go and grab a bit of balsamic vinegar from another one, see if you like them together, and then buy them like that. They also do really cool things where the staff will actually put together pairs of olive oil and vinegar, or olive oil and salt, or any of these different combinations. You can buy these little packages that are all ready to go for you. It's kind of an amazing shopping experience. I'm not going to lie. I appreciate the fact that I can try everything first. And having worked there for so long, I tried everything, every combination. We would come into work in the morning, and me and my staff, I would say, okay, let's try a new combination today. And everybody would put together something new. And some of them were phenomenal, and some of them were, those two things should never go together. But it gave us a ton of knowledge about the product, what works, what doesn't work. And overall, super fun.
Okay, well, hopefully your head hasn't exploded yet because we just have two more to go through. DAGs. These are glycerols. Oh my goodness. Diacylglycerols. Even I'm having trouble saying this. I used to say this word all the time. Let's just call it what it is on the page, DAGs. So our DAGs. This is our freshness indicator. We want olive oil that is fresh. We don't want olive oil that has not been harvested properly. And so this is kind of our quality parameter. And we want, in again, high quality of olive oil, for it to be 90% or higher. So our DAGs are going to be high, and that's going to be a great. So again, you can start to see all of these things have to work together to actually make our olive oil high quality, tasty, high in antioxidants, not going to oxidize, low from being rancid or unstable. So we got one more to go. All right, our last one is PPP. Okay, so I'm just going to butcher it for you all because I know that this is what you're living for right now. Pyrophytons. Ooh, hey, I actually did that one better than our DAGs. That's pretty good. So what does this mean? This one actually is one of my favorite chemical constituents. So this is where the fakers will try and fake you out with the fake olive oil. So for this one here, this is actually going to be a measure of the oh my gosh. Why am I having so many problems today? The authenticity. I'm just going to keep all these bloopers in. You guys can giggle along with me. But if we have olive oil that's actually olive oil, here is where we're going to have that indicator. It's in our PPP. So when people try and sneak other things into their olive oil or bulk olive oil up with some other kind of oil, this is where we know whether or not it's actual olive oil. So if we have a very low amount in here, that means that we have fresh, less processed olive oil. And this is one of those parameters that's actually controlled by the International Olive Council. So the last one on our list, our PPP, it's got to be low. And there is how you can read your card with your chemical symbols and what you're actually looking for.
So hopefully nobody's head exploded going over some of the numbers, but I love looking at the numbers when I'm purchasing my olive oil because I'll look for different things. So if I want a nice, easy to use for, general cooking olive oil, I'm going to pick something that's got less biophenols on it. So it's not going to be that robust. It's going to be more on the mild. And the other thing that I think is so interesting is the amount of species of olives that are out there. I think a lot of times people don't realize how many there are. So some of our really common ones that you'll see in specialty olive oil stores are things like the pickle, the arbequina, arbesana. One of my favorites, and it was funny because we didn't get it very often, it was one called frantoio, and it was just chef's kiss delicious. But here's the interesting thing with olive oil. So you might have in one season a northern hemisphere country, so say Italy, has a frantoio that they are growing, and it could actually come in as a mild olive oil. You could then have a southern hemisphere country, so say South Africa, that would actually come in with a French oil that could be into the robust style of olive oil. So it's really interesting between, where they're grown, the climate, the species used, what comes out every season. So it was always really cool when we would get, like, sometimes we get a peak wall that was so robust, we'd be like, I don't know about this. And it was really, the antioxidant level was extremely high. But then the following season, we get a peak wall that would fall into the mild category, and it was delightful. So it was always something new. And that's something that I think when we think about our food and our food systems, in a commercial food system, there is this uniformity. It must taste the same. There's my robot. My robot must taste the same every time. It has to always be like this. But in the natural world, that's not how actual food works, right? The tomatoes that are grown in one season are going to be different than the tomatoes grown in the next season. What if you had a really rainy season? What if you had a really dry season? This is going to affect the flavor of these items. Also, how much you're going to grow of those items. And, the funniest thing, and I said this at the beginning, people, when they think of olive oil, they think France, or not France, they think Italy and Greece. That's where olive oil comes from. But as I said, the majority of the olive oil that I actually prefer is not from those countries. And the funniest thing right now is when I went to Evoolution the other day, of their varietal lineup that they have right now, the majority of them were, because the Northern Hemisphere right now, the majority of them were actually Portugal. So they had Portugal and they had California, and then they had one other one there. I don't remember where it was from. It might have been an Italian one, though. But it's fun because it gives you a chance to basically every season try something different. So the last couple things that I want to talk about is actually the difference between your varietals, your infused olive oils, and your fused olive oils. So varietal is just the straight up species. So you have your Frantoio olive that's been made into olive oil. That's it. It's into the bottle. You're good to go. Infused olive oils are where you actually have the olive oil, you've processed it, you've pressed it, it's ready to go, and then you infuse it with a flavor after the fact. So you might add in oregano, okay? Something like that. And then you have basically an oregano flavored olive oil. The third way, though, which is really cool, is fused olive oils. So with this one, what you do is when you're actually pressing the olives, you have, say, the oranges or the limes or the lemons or whatever it is in, and you press them at the same time. So it's actually fused right into the olives. And then you get this beautiful flavored olive oil, and they're wonderful. So that's another thing that you can also look for at some of these places, is some of these ones where the different flavors have actually been put into the olive oil in one or two methods. Absolutely fresh, delightful, flavor bomb olive oil. So my challenge to you over the next few weeks is try something new with your olive oil. Instead of just doing a, olive oil balsamic vinegar salad dressing, make a dessert. So for some of you that have seen me a few times, I'm also a chocolatier. And the reason I have such a stock of olive oil and vinegar is I use them in the chocolates. And a few years ago, we actually won a really kind of prestigious international competition for chocolates. And the chocolate that I submitted was an oil and vinegar chocolate. And the judges loved it. They were like blown away by this, relatively simple, because I'm just using super high quality ingredients to create an incredible product. And that's what we do with a lot of the chocolates that we make. I'm not reinventing the wheel on something. If I've got a product that I can use, why wouldn't I use it? And so for me, having all of these different opportunities to use incredible product, I'm going to take it. So, what I want all of you to do is find a new recipe, try it out, pop me a message on YouTube, or if you're on our Instagram. We're now on X again. It's kind of weird, which was also very funny the other day when, Facebook and Instagram were out. I'm screaming at my phone, and then I went over to X and everybody's like, "We're safe. Don't worry. Everybody's over here now." And I just laughed. I was like, "Oh, okay. It's just out for right now." But give me a recipe, tell me what you're making, and let me know what your favorite olive oil is. Like, do you have a flavored olive oil that you love? Do you have just a straight up varietal that you try and buy it every season? Or are you like, Colleen, all of what you just said to me is brand new. I knew none of this. And now I need to go in search of this olive oil. Here's another pro tip. Evoolution actually ships almost everywhere in Canada and the United States. Go look at their website. I'm going to link that in the show notes below. If you go to one of their stores, say hi from me. They are incredible. They have very well trained staff. They're super knowledgeable. It's just a delightful place to shop, because here's the other thing is you can try everything before you buy it. And I talked about that a little bit, but it's really kind of genius. Why wouldn't you want to do that? So, with that, have an incredible rest of your week. Thank you so much.